Hi everyone, I'm Robin Sewell and welcome to Arizona Highways Television. Many people refer to Tubac as an artist colony, and it is that, but it is so much more. Like the sign says, it's where art and history meet.
This area in the 1700s was the largest cattle ranch west of the Mississippi.
And the cattle still roam, on the open range and on the driving range.
If you golf, you're going to have one of the best golf experiences in Arizona. I would describe the Tubac Golf Resort and Spa as an oasis in the desert.
A world-class resort, inventive cuisine, fine art, as well as fun art.
This is called Guide Dog for the Mind.
As we'll discover today, Tubac is a mixture of cultures and traditions, old and new.
It's very southwestern and very western. The landscape still looks that way.
And prepare yourself to be wowed.
When you come down and come through the arches here, people cannot believe what they've discovered.
This is getting away.
Walking around Tubac, you'd be hard-pressed to find a native. While they may consider themselves locals now, most Tubacans are transplants.
Hi, I'm David Voisard. I live in Tubac, Arizona. I've been here for 13 years.
Well, at the very least, 13 years gives you squatter's rights, maybe even status as an honorary local.
Being a Chicago boy, I had no clue that I'd ever want to live in the desert, but you look at the Tumacacori Mountains or the Santa Ritas, the skies, the weather, we stayed.
We heard similar stories all over town.
From Wisconsin.
Well, actually, Tubac was never on my plans. It was Tucson. But one of my good friends here that runs this La Entrada, he invited me to Tubac just to check it out. And without knowing, I signed the lease.
That's how each of us ended up here. Again, just came to town and said, oh my God, this is where I need to be. I feel the energy. As many artists do, find Tubac to be the place.
So who better than a local to show us around?
I've been very welcomed by the village. There's many galleries and a real good art vibe, lots of working artists. And I'm just going to share a few of the things that I've come to do over the last number of years.
Let's do it.
One of our new restaurants is Wisdom's Dose. They wanted something unique, so for $150 at the Tucson Iron and Metal Scrapyard, I found a roll of solid steel that was 5 feet in diameter and cut it up with a friend, rolled it into all kinds of circles that met their requirements. And then of course, since they sell fine micro brew beer, why not make large copper bottle caps on each end?
As we said before, Tubac is so much more than art and history, and you can drink it all in at Dose.
It's right in the middle of Tubac. We've got great craft beers from all over the country. It's a place where it's not a sit down where you kind of in the restaurant or at a bar. It's casual. So you can come in, grab a glass of wine, grab some street tacos, sit out in the patio, people watch, and that's what really makes it unique.
And owner Cliff Wisdom himself is unique. He is a true local.
So our original restaurant is Wisdom's Cafe, and my grandparents started it in 1944, and it's located in Tumacacori, and it's about 3 miles down the road here from Tubac.
For more than 70 years and 4 generations of Wisdoms, the original cafe has been serving up traditional Mexican food like carne asada, flautas, and their signature deep-fried fruit burritos. It's like a hot slice of cherry pie.
Our idea was to bring our fruit burros from our big restaurant to Tubac, and all of a sudden this spot opened up right in the middle of town, so we thought, you know what, let's take it a little further. Let's make those more than just fruit burros. Let's do the street tacos. Let's bring craft beer to Tubac, and that's kind of how it's just evolved.
And Tubac itself is one of the ingredients.
This almost started too where we'd see a lot of gentlemen sitting on the benches while their wives were out shopping around Tubac, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if they could have a place to sit down and have a beer? This place is unique for just all the unique people that come through Tubac. The majority of the people here are from somewhere far away, and they get to come to a little spot right in the middle of artist town and drink some craft beer out in the patio. The flavor's great. There's so many different breweries out there to choose from. It's huge. For us, it's huge. It's better than just having Coors Light and Bud Light. You know, you really have some unique beers out there. So we try to rotate our taps as much as possible. So just to make it fun and interesting. Great place to spend the afternoon.
It's a great place to eat, and I recommend it when you're hungry in Tubac. My wife and I rescue dogs, and we love dogs, and a lot of people bring their dogs to sit out in the patio. This is called Guide Dog for the Mind, and the arrows that dictate where you can wander from here are pretty large in their offering. I just started basically with a swimming pool filter cover, made a nice pedestal, found a sheet in the scrapyard. With a little bit of muscle and bending and a form, it's not too hard to use. I love doing sculpture that makes people smile. The world is a scary enough place if you watch the news regularly, and I think fine art can be fun art. So across the street here, they dangled a couple grand in front of the artists. If you come a month before your last visit, there's new art to see. There's a fresh... Have you looked around? Have you seen the mountains? It's a very special place. It's a historic place. The beauty, the food, the people, the fact that if you come a month before your last visit, there's new art to see. There's a freshness and a vibrancy there. And it's not far away from Tucson or Phoenix.
You would never recognize it would be right off of Highway 19.
From I-10 in Tucson, you turn south onto Highway 19, and then about an hour later, enter the centuries-old town of Tubac, rich in character, art, and history. But it's when you drive under the arches of the original Otero Ranch that you experience that rich past and even richer present.
The Tubac Golf Resort is a hidden gem in the desert.
I would describe the Tubac Golf Resort and Spa as an oasis in the desert. It is located on 600 acres. It's very lush and green. We have the single largest indigenous cottonwood tree area in Arizona along the Santa Cruz River, and it's located at the base of the Santa Rita Mountains, so it's stunningly beautiful. This area in the 1700s was the largest cattle ranch west of the Mississippi. The King of Spain, this was the first land grant from the King of Spain to the Otero family who owned this land originally to provide food and safety for the soldiers of the Presidio in Tubac.
And 300 years later, cattle still roam the grounds.
The Otero family, with the land grant from the King of Spain, proceeded to have lots of cattle and to grow grain, and we have silos here where they kept the grain, and they became the most successful cattle ranchers west of the Mississippi.
The land stayed with the Otero family until 1959, when they sold it to a group of California businessmen. They hired Bing Crosby to be the face of the property.
So they built the resort, they built 18 holes of golf, and this became the hangout for Hollywood stars when they were coming here to do movies. And there were over 55 movies filmed here in the 50s, 60s.
In 2002, the resort was purchased by the Allred family and underwent extensive renovations, which included around 9 more holes of golf.
We have 98 guest rooms now, a spa, and the chapel. Now, the chapel is a 17th century replica of a mission in Guadalajara. It's absolutely stunning, 18-foot ceilings. It's just beautiful. And so we are one of the most popular venues in the Southwest for weddings because of that, the chapel, basically. We do over 60 weddings a year here. And the doors in front of the chapels are actually one of the backdrops and the most famous backdrop for pictures for brides.
The entire resort is filled with amenities that won't disappoint.
You're going to be wowed. Everyone is always surprised when they come to the resort. It's an opportunity for you to just relax and enjoy and not be bombarded by everything that we're bombarded with in the city. This is getting away, absolutely.
Nestled in the Santa Rita Mountains sits the stunning Madera Canyon.
It's absolutely a hiker's paradise because it has a little bit of hiking for every level of hiking person around.
With more than 100 miles of hiking trails, there are plenty of places to enjoy the diverse wildlife and ecosystems that call this canyon home.
There's a number of mammal species here. We have everything from mountain lions to black bears to the rare coatimundi. There's raccoons and possums. It's one of the few places in North America where you can find all 4 species of skunk in one place, which can be a treat at times.
Luis Calvo is an avid hiker and knows the canyon well. He explains the uniqueness of the area is because Madera Canyon is a sky island. A sky island is a mountain surrounded by a valley. And even though it's the desert, the climate in the sky island is wetter and allows all kinds of species to live together, especially birds.
It is known as a place that if you're a bird watcher, you must come here to Madera Canyon at least once in your lifetime. It's that special of a place.
Luis says hikers also love the canyon for its variety of scenery. Dense forests lead to open grasslands and a mountainside with gentle waterfalls. The well-maintained trails make it easy to enjoy your surroundings.
It's virtually impossible to get lost here while you're hiking, which most people find that peace of mind to be a very nice thing. At the same time, you can get lost in the wilderness here if you would like, in a sense. And that's insofar as, because there are so many miles of trails here, you can get on a trail and go for hours without seeing a single person on that trail. Well, I think what most people take away from this place when they're hiking here, besides the uniqueness of it, is that this place has been well preserved. It's not like many of the places in southern Arizona that have been, in a sense, touristed up already.
So if you want to visit one of the most unusual places on Earth, Madera Canyon should definitely be on your list.
You have this perception that the Arizona desert is something in the back of a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. It's gorgeous. There's 11 inches of rain a year. We have a river that runs year-round, a corridor of cottonwoods. It's a bit of a secret, but when Phoenix is 115, Tucson's 105, we're 103. But at night in June, the hottest month of the year, we cool down to 65 degrees. You open the doors and windows, you button it up in the morning, there's very little air conditioning used. Great. I'm gonna get flack for sharing that secret.
One person might call it a ruin. Another might say it's a work in progress. They'd both be right. The Tumacacori Mission was abandoned many years ago, and it's now a national park. The roof and the floor are new, but the rest of the church is the same adobe mud bricks and lime plaster as Spanish priests and Native Americans used to build Tumacacori 200 years ago. But the church was never completed. Work began in 1800, and enough was finished for the Spanish friars to start holding Mass here in 1822. Apart from the church, the mission is much older. It was started in 1691. Father Kino came here at the request of the native people, the Otham tribe. Over time, the Catholic missionaries fell out of favor with the native tribes, and it was abandoned. When it fell out of use, treasure hunters smashed away parts of the plaster on the church walls, looking for treasure. For me, perhaps the most moving part of Tumacacori is not inside, but outside. Simple graves marked only with desert stones and Spanish colonial crucifixes.
This is an international treasure. It has been called the finest example of Spanish colonial art and architecture in the United States.
Tucson author Kathleen Walker says San Xavier del Bac is the oldest intact European structure in Arizona.
This is original. No one has redesigned this and said, well, maybe it looked like this and maybe we should add this design. This is the way it looked 200 years ago.
The mission is constructed of low-fire, clay brick, stone, and lime mortar.
Much of the work here was done by the native people, who to this day have remained predominantly Catholic. What we see here is proof of their artistry, as well as their ability to build, because in reality, this was considered the end of civilization in the Spanish frame of mind.
Walk into San Xavier and you are struck by the dazzling colors, the murals, paintings, carvings, and statues. The floor plan of the church is in the shape of the classic Latin cross. But being inside this piece of history does more than just thrill you with its incredible architecture.
People going into this church have often told me when I've been here, they feel touched by something in the church, and it may have nothing to do with their particular religion or belief system, but there's something very gentle, there's something very peaceful. And part of that magic is you can come here during Mass when the church is jam-packed with people, and yet you always feel like there's room. That's an incredible feeling.
The mission has survived warring factions of Apache, earthquakes, and lightning strikes. And gazing at it from southern Arizona Highway 19, it's a testament to the strength of the natives who built it and whose ancestors still worship in it.
When you come upon the church from a distance, it still looks the way it looked, like a beacon at the edge of an empire.
Small, intimate.
Two words that describe what you'll find after walking through these wooded Spanish doors at the Tubac Golf Resort and Spa.
Every person that comes in there gets individualized personal treatment. And we have designed our treatments that way as well, but you can tailor them to fit perfectly with what your needs are.
The treatments are also designed specifically for the Tubac Spa and to reflect the southern Arizona desert.
All of our treatments were customized through myself, and I work with a botanist. And he travels the world to look for small farms to get his product ingredients. So he takes great care in those products, and we also sell them in the spa. Our signature body treatment would be the desert flower indulgence. And it's 4 treatments in one. You get a body scrub, you get a body wrap, and then you get a hot oil scalp massage, and then you get a rehydration with a small massage in the treatment. It's probably the top treatment that we do.
So what do visitors say after a day at the spa?
Well, pretty much they can't talk afterwards because they're in another zone somewhere.
Over here in front of the Art Center, we've got a piece that in many ways opened my mind that I could be a fine artist. Tubac was chosen by Arizona Department of Transportation. They had a grant to try and bring tourists down to Santa Cruz County. And they dangled a couple grand in front of 10 artists to come up with something that would bring birders in particular, but tourists in general, to this beautiful area. And throughout Amado, Tubac, Nogales, Patagonia, Sonoyta, some version of birding in an art form exists. So this is the bird watcher. This was an old water tank. It's 30 bucks worth of scrap steel, and every Tuesday when I see 40 birders walk from the village with their coffee to the corridor in the river to look at birds, I like them to be able to look at something like this and start their day off right. And now we'll go through the alleyway over here. This gate that I did about 2 years ago is representational of what I would call functional art. Fine art's fine, and if you get an idea that's just something you want to create, I love doing that. But in reality, I can be of service and make a good living and have some joy by solving a problem for a client in an artful way. This is mining mesh salvaged from the mines. It's a rock-filled chamber that counteracts the articulation of the gate. The stainless steel fish, when the wind blows, they all swim. I named this one Quitting School because there's one fish that I think felt like me and wanted to go in a different direction. It brings me satisfaction, less so from the work than the friendships developed by the person that I worked with. We are a village, that it takes a village, but Tubac is very representational in it does take a village. When I walk down the streets of Tubac, I remember the friendships built over the services I've provided, whether it's a piece of true fine art or it's functional signage or if it's a working gate. And that's part of the fabric that I feel in Tubac, my wife feels in Tubac, and it's why we live here with our dogs.
Tubac is one of Arizona's hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about. But when you get there, you'll find that it's a little bit history, art, food, and a whole lot of fun.
I love this town.
I hate to say that what someone should be doing when they come to Tubac, but there is a whole variety of things that you can do. Just in the fine arts, we've got fabulous jewelers, potters, painters, leathersmiths, metalworkers, coppersmiths. If you can't find it here, you're not looking.
With so many fantastic restaurants, art, galleries, and things to do, it's hard to fit them all in one show. So, I guess we'll have to come back soon. Thanks everyone so much for joining us. I'm Robin Sewell, and we'll see you on the next Arizona Highways.
This is a commission that I did some time ago. The owner of the properties wanted a little privacy and protection in the courtyard. He knew we had spent time in the Napa Valley, and when I moved a truckload of cool stuff that I thought I might use, I brought some wine barrel hoops. That became the genesis, or the portals, that allowed approachability through the gate. And then from that curved banded form, I just laid out with a Sharpie pen on cardboard my vision for it. He liked it, and it's a gate with 2 wine barrel hoops.